Good evening and welcome to our Tuesday Night Live. We're so glad you're here. This live will begin shortly, and we're excited to share this journey with you. This is a space of kindness and encouragement, so let's be welcoming to everyone looking to better themselves. If you have questions, drop them in the chat or use the super chat to make sure it gets addressed. Thank you for being a part of our community. Let's make it a great night. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Tuesday morning, Tuesday Night Live in the morning, but really in the afternoon because it's 12 in the afternoon, 12:07, half past 12:07. How are we doing today? Again, no Chandra today. She is out with her friend hanging out today. She doesn't get to see them see her very often. Chandra works the weekends. Her friend's off on the weekends, works during the week. Now her schedule has changed, so they are hanging out today. They've been friends since middle school, so there you're going to have that. So glad that they had a chance to get together today. Unfortunately, that means that she's not here with me, but you guys get me. You guys get to hang out with me today. That's perfectly fine. I'm sure you're okay with that. I hope that you're okay with that. But anyway, good morning, friends. Grab your coffee. Settled in? What am I talking about? I hope you understand what I'm talking about. But today's conversation is one that requires maturity. I don't know if I'm qualified for maturity, but here we are anyway. Nuance, calm thinking. Recently, yesterday or the day before, the publication published an article pushing back on the claims attributed to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., suggesting that a ketogenic diet, carnivore diet, can cure schizophrenia. That word alone, cure, is what I want to focus on this morning. Not necessarily the word cure, but the matter-of-fact tone that someone would say, this can cure this, is a way to get people to not listen to us. I'm a big proponent of talking about words we use, how we use them, how we're perceived, how this community is perceived, how the people who represent this community are perceived in the grand scheme of things. Again, the reason why we're in this community in the first place is to grow, to help people who need us get healthy. And so many of us in this community already have powerful anecdotal evidence stories. People who clean up their diet, remove ultra-processed foods, stabilize blood sugar, and focus on whole foods, sometimes even go strict carnivore, and they report improvements in mood, anxiety, mental clarity, even serious mental health symptoms have been shown to clear up. But again, these are anecdotal studies. These are stories. These are stories that people in our community tell and talk about. And I think we should, as a community, be very mindful in the way that we convey these stories. Because we have to remember, not everybody is going to get the same mileage from each way of eating that we might. Because again, there's a lot of factors that come into play. How they eat, when they eat, what they eat. Even if they tell us that they're doing exactly the same thing that we're doing, it may not be exactly the same because there's no two people doing the same thing exactly. Because again, here's the hard truth that anecdote is not the same as established medical consensus. Now, anecdotes can show us what's possible, but words like cure carry legal, medical, and ethical weight. Again, this is where how we say, what we say, when we say is so very powerful in this community. And we have to understand that everything that we say is going to be scrutinized by people who don't want us to say what we're saying, don't believe what we're saying. There's a lot of pushback. There's going to be pushback. And we have to remember that we are responsible for everything that we say. We live in a country with the freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean freedom of consequence for that speech. So the FDA regulates what can and cannot be labeled as a cure. The medical establishment has very specific criteria for that word. So when someone in a high-profile position makes a broad statement like that, backlash is inevitable. And beyond backlash, there's a real-world consequence. There's real-world consequences here. Some individuals might hear cure, stop taking prescribed medications, abandon their doctor's guidance, switch to eating only meat, and then things don't improve or worse, destabilize. And those results could be devastating. Because again, we want to make sure that people are on the right path. And again, it is a path. And each path is going to maybe end up in a different place. So again, I can't stress enough how important what we say, how we say, when we say things involving this community are so very important. Because I believe deeply that metabolic health impacts brain health. There's no way around it. The brain is a part of the body. I believe food matters. But I also believe our words matter just as much, if not more, in this context, because we are trying to make a major difference. So using words like may help is responsible, shows promise is responsible, worth discussing is responsible. Using terminology like cure without rigorous large-scale clinical evidence, that's a dangerous territory. And today, I want to unpack that and carefully, without attacking anyone. This is never an attack. Even on Sunday, when I was talking about the people in our community who are high profile, who are coming out of the woodwork saying that they are eating carnivore, or that we should be eating single ingredient whole foods. And, people in places of power, sometimes those people are not highly regarded in the mainstream. Those people are not looked at as someone who should be listened to, but they are people who are in prominent positions in this community spouting these things. And the person who is the biggest culprit here, again, Robert F. Kennedy comes out and says the ketogenic diet can cure schizophrenia. That's a major misstep, and someone like him should know better. Because again, whether or not it does or can or can't isn't the question here. It's a matter of how we are perceived by the society at large, those people we are trying so diligently to help. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you guys think? And while we're waiting for some of those comments to come in, I want to go ahead and say welcome to all of you wonderful people who have joined me here today. It looks like Shauna was here, but she has since abandoned us to go to work. How you dare. How dare you go to your job? Thomas is here. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing, sir? I hope you're doing fantastic. Granny Boo is in the house. Good morning. Hello from Oklahoma, she says. Welcome. Oklahoma. Oh my goodness. Andy is here. I get to see Andy in a couple of days. I'm excited. Get to see Andy a week from yesterday. So 6 days, 5 days. I don't know. Math. I'm not good at math. John is here. Good morning, John. How are you doing, my friend? Together strong, sharing experiences, strength and hope, one day at a time. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. And Andy is drinking her first cup of coffee while figuring out what she is going to have for lunch. I have not yet started my first cup of coffee. I have it right here, though. It's in a pink cup. Matches the pink that we have here. All the things for Tuesday night. The pink and the fun. Oh, without Chandra. Oh, my goodness. You guys are pretty quiet today. I'm almost caught up with the chat. And I just started. How crazy is that? Oh my goodness. Good to see you, John. Good to see you, my friend. And Jeff Fafa is in the house. Good afternoon, Jeff. I hope you're doing fantastic, my friend. Sharon H is here, hopping in for a bit, working today. And Maritza is here. Good morning, Maritza. I am so glad that you're here as well. Well, I'm caught up with the chat 10 minutes in. That's a new record, I think. I mean, outside of Saturday when we went live, and I think I was talking for a good hour, half hour, 45 minutes before anybody joined the chat. I thought YouTube was broken, but just apparently it was just you guys hanging out with Rick. Rick is not even here yet. I imagine he may show up if he's not busy doing his thing, but welcome. All of you wonderful people out here. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't like to be political on this channel because I think that political is a dividing thing here, and I think just the fact that we are talking about whole foods, single ingredient whole foods, meat forward, keto, carnivore, all of these things is already divisive enough. I mean, we have to understand how divisive it is in society to say that we should be eating a meat forward way of life. We should be putting meat and protein as the priority above anything else. We should be limiting carbohydrates, limiting sugar, even just the preposterous idea of saying we should be limiting sugar is a divisive concept. That we should be limiting carbohydrates is a divisive concept. So I try not to bring politics into this, though, again, when politics have something to do with, we can have a discussion about someone making a claim, being picked up by a major publication. I think we should stop and take a look at it. And again, it goes in and it falls in line with things that I have said before. I'm not changing my stance here. Is that we are truly responsible for the things that we say, how we say them, when we say them. And again, never attacking anybody, focusing, basically just language and responsibility of that language. And, we can look at, and I can read the actual article to you all if you so choose. I could go ahead and break that article down. I just, Maritza says, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I want to talk about that for a minute. I had a video, a short form video about meat at Walmart. Now, I will bring this up. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here because I think it's very valuable to talk about this kind of stuff because it's very interesting to me to see this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this information up as we're talking here because it's one of those things. It's like, it's crazy to me to see that kind of stuff here. And I'm not going to block the revenue on this. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm going to be fully transparent with you so you can see everything that I see. Oh, excuse me. So I think it's important to show this kind of transparency. Not a lot of channels are going to show this exact transparency. It's not going to show anything I don't think that you can't or shouldn't see, but we'll have to wait and see, right? So this is a short here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you this. So until January the 20th, this was like January 20th, something like that. It was getting, I released this all the way November 23rd at 10:49 a.m. Video was published. It got very, the next day, 24 hours had 122 views. So you can see that just kind of how the views on this were just this is a short form video. So they're supposed to get views quickly. But here we are going over the course of, this is 170 days, 552 views, 580 views. We go into, at the 1 year mark, we'll see where we were. 1 year was 1,307 views. We go fast forward to, it starts to skyrocket. You can see it just starts skyrocketing. Just goes crazy, 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 crazy. We're currently sitting at 122.7 views. That is crazy. 180 or 86 point, almost 87,000 views in the last 48 hours. That is insanity to me. For my channel to do that, that's crazy. That's not normal. I mean, I've made a whole $9. That just shows you kind of where short form content is. And when you see creators who get hundreds of thousands of views, they're making not much money. You know, I mean, did it take me $9 worth of effort to put into this video? Probably. It probably took me about an hour total. So that's $9 an hour. It's not awful, but I mean, it's barely above minimum wage. But that's one video, and it's taken a year to get there. So yeah, not exactly the most profitable way to make money, but I have got 154 subscribers off of this. So like one all the way. Didn't start gaining more subscribers until 1 year and 83 days. It just kind of shoots up from there. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show that to you. And so I'll go ahead and I'll pull back on this because, you know, again, I will pull in that Guardian article. I can read through some of that for you if that's what you want to see. But John says, I uploaded that video that you are in. Okay, I'm looking forward to taking a look at that. That's pretty cool. Stacy and Ken are here. Good morning, Stacy and Ken. Welcome. So glad to see you. And Andy says that she hates when she gets a phone call in the middle of a live stream. I'll catch up chipmunk style. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I want to go ahead and I want to look at this. I want to look at this article. So I just kind of want to give you an idea of kind of the backlash that happens. And, you know, is the backlash warranted? Maybe. Let's see, Guardian News. Keto cutes. I mean, keto cures. I think, let's see. All right, let me go ahead and bring this over here. Now, you may not be able to see this very well, but I'll go ahead and I just want to kind of give an idea of reading this here. So basically what we're seeing here is it says that there is no evidence behind RFK Jr.'s claim keto diet can cure schizophrenia. Again, that's the word that we are going to focus on, cure. Because again, when we're talking about health and we're talking about all the things that go into this community, utilizing words like cure is a quick way to gonna kind of get shut down. And that's how, like, if I were to come on here and start throwing the word cure around in a way that I might even get my channel shut down. My channel might be taken away from me if I came in here making claims that this, that, and the other would cure that and whatever. So, and I don't know if it's going to let me unlock peace and quiet. I don't want to have to sign in. But we're doing what we got to, right? Okay, let me see if I can get this, and then I'll show you what I can. Let's see. There we go. Okay, there we go. I haven't clicked over yet, which was good. There we go. Here's the article. No evidence behind RFK Jr.'s claim that keto diet can cure schizophrenia. Again, have we seen anecdotal evidence and stories from people in our community that ketogenic lifestyles, that a strict keto and strict carnivore diets can have a major impact in schizophrenia symptoms? Absolutely. We have seen and heard compelling stories and evidence that would stand to reason that this is probably not too far from the truth. But again, what we have to talk about here is the word cure. Again, that's going to get you in the most trouble. If I came on here and started throwing the word cure around, I would get my channel taken away because I can't make any claims of anything curing anything. But psychiatric researchers are pushing back against the claims made by Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. that a doctor at Harvard cured schizophrenia using keto diets, while also acknowledging that a carefully supervised ketogenic diet shows promise for a variety of mental health conditions. RFK Jr.'s statements probably referred to the Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Christopher Palmer, who said that he has never once used the word cure in my work. And again, a responsible person in someone like RFK, someone like Dr. Palmer, should be very mindful in the verbiage and vernacular that they choose. They would never want to use the word cure. And I know we're kind of splitting hairs here, but it makes a major difference. It's like I have never claimed that they cured any mental illness, including schizophrenia, but added I have talked about ketogenic diets being a very powerful treatment. And we have seen these things in the testimonials, the stories that people have had on all the live streams that we all gather week after week to bear witness to. Even at the point of inducing remission of symptoms of schizophrenia. Yes, we've talked to many people on these channels who are in our community who have the most amazing, heart-wrenching, tear-inducing stories of coming back from places they didn't know they were going to be able to come back from. Amazing, amazing transformations of how they're able to live their life coming out of things like schizophrenia and stuff. So are they seeing huge, powerful step forward and maybe even finding remission? Absolutely. Now, this says here that on tour to promote his new food pyramid, it's just weird there's a tour to promote the food pyramid that encourages more consumption of red meat and dairy, Kennedy Jr. mentioned keto's curative power, the ketogenic diet, which requires a high ratio of fat in comparison to both protein and carbohydrates, does not typically emphasize red meat and is also markedly different from the carnivore diet the health secretary follows himself. There's a lot to unpack here. The way that words are utilized, a ketogenic diet, which requires a high ratio of fat in comparison to both protein and carbs, does not typically emphasize red meat, but actually it does, and we know that because most of us focus on red meat because we know red meat is the most nutrient-dense food that we could find. Again, does that mean that chicken and pork and lamb and all these things don't have a place? Absolutely not. But understanding that red meat is going to be something that most of us in our community are focused on should be something of note. But here in this article, they're still finding ways to tap dance or tiptoe around the obvious, the elephant in the room, if you will. The evidence that ketogenic diets might help with schizophrenia symptom remission comes from 2 case reports that Palmer published in Schizophrenia Research in 2019. While discussing them, Palmer was quick to emphasize that, yes, it's only 2, but we've seen more than that, and that case reports don't prove anything. They're not controlled. They come with tremendous amounts of bias. But Palmer noted that can be important for generating hypothesis about what treatments might work. Palmer thought it was valuable to publish these case reports because remission of schizophrenia symptoms. Let's see, did it skip on me? I hate when it does that to me. Where am I at here? It jumps on me. It does that on purpose, I swear it does. Let's see, remission of schizophrenia symptoms is incredibly rare. Hopefully, we will start to see these things become increasingly less rare. Now, the case reports describe 2 women, one aged 39 and one aged 82. Both had long-term schizophrenia, but were on a ketogenic diet for other reasons, gastrointestinal distress and weight loss. Over time, they noticed that the diet seemed to be improving their schizophrenia symptoms, and they both eventually stopped their schizophrenia medications. Again, Palmer was clear that nobody should stop psychiatric medications without careful supervision. 100%. I agree with that. We should always, as much as we discount the use of doctors in cases, there's a lot of use case here where doctors are very important. And again, we never want to discount what doctors' roles play in a lot of things in particular areas, right? So let's see. Again, while one of the patients in the study worked with her doctor to safely taper off the psychiatric medication, the other decided to stop them suddenly on her own. Let me be clear. That was an unmitigated catastrophe. For her. She became severely psychotic. Again, these medications change our internal chemistry. And if we stop taking them, if the person who is utilizing these medications stops taking them abruptly, the body chemistry has to adjust, and that's going to be really bad. So she was hospitalized for over 2 months. So Palmer said that the patient continued her diet throughout her hospitalization and had to go back on medications before tapering off safely. Again, never in this channel, never anything that I'm ever going to say to anyone is the fact that you should be working with your doctor on anything and everything that you're doing. Never take it amongst yourself. Never am I going to promote that. Never am I going to recommend that. Never giving medical advice. I am not a healthcare professional. I am one test away from graduating from the Dr. Berry Proper Human Diet Coach certification course. One test away. I got to take that test today or tomorrow. I'm just having a little anxiety about taking a test. It's been about 185 years since I've taken a major test. I know I'm going to be fine, but still. Anyway, so keto has been known to help with neurological symptoms for over a century. It emerged as a treatment for children with epilepsy in the 1920s, but fell out of favor as medications became more sophisticated. Again, we stopped utilizing diet in favor of medication because medication is going to be more profitable than diet, and we still are dealing with that today. However, starting in the 1990s, pediatricians began prescribing the diet again for children with treatment-resistant epilepsy, and it has recently received a lot of attention from psychiatric researchers. So these are things that we like to see. We want to see resurgence. We want to find ways to utilize single ingredient whole food ways of eating to start to repair damage, to see what can be done. Can we get people off medication? Again, it should always be a doctor's goal to prescribe medication in the short term, finding the root cause, fixing the root cause, so then you no longer need the medication. That being said, Palmer said that there were currently about 20 controlled trials underway investigating keto's efficacy for a broad range of psychiatric conditions, including schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Maybe I'd like to see that whole, there's another disorder that's just pretty bad too. Typical medications for schizophrenia and bipolar can cause many negative side effects, and the early evidence suggests that keto might help with both side effects and the conditions themselves. Scientists are still investigating why the diet might be helpful, but Palmer said it was probably related to the mitochondria, or the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondrial dysfunction has been found to play a role in essentially almost all of psychiatric disorders. So at least we're starting to find out and get to the root cause. At least a theory of what the root cause is. I imagine there's inflammation involved. There's all kinds of things going on. Insulin, sugar, hormonal imbalance. Dr. Deanna Kelly, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, who researches keto and mental health, told The Guardian that keto changes how mitochondria function by changing the fuel they use. The goal of a ketogenic diet is to put the body in ketosis, which Kelly said is when the body begins burning fat instead of glucose for fuel. And I'd like to hopefully one day get away from the fact that the body's preferred method or fuel is glucose. The only reason we think that is because the body will tend to get rid of glucose first. It'll burn through its glucose stores first because it can only manage so much. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh are using brain imaging to try and illuminate why keto might change how the brain works. Dr. Daniel Smith, a professor of psychiatry at Edinburgh, conducted a feasibility trial investigating keto as a treatment for a small number of patients with bipolar disorder and found that changes in brain glutamate levels were correlated with symptomatic improvement. But that was not very strong evidence because in a small sample size, he's now in the early stages of a larger controlled study. Again, very promising things, but we are nowhere near yet being able to say that something like ketogenic diet, carnivore diet is a cure. We're not there yet. Again, we still have to be mindful of the vernacular, how we say, what we say, when we say. While keto is garnering a lot of interest and investment, there are questions about whether it is a realistic solution for patients. Clinical trials typically last a few weeks to a few months, but it is an open question whether most patients can stick to a diet that almost completely eliminates staples like rice and bread long term. Yes, we can. We have seen that. We talk about it on a daily basis. Now, and which asks patients to consume large amounts of fat in less enjoyable ways, like drinking heavy cream as a side dish. No, they don't. Nobody does that. Nobody says drink heavy cream as a side dish. These little anecdote things that get put in these articles paint us in a weird corner. This is why, like, when somebody sits at a live stream and eats raw meat, that makes us look weird. And we don't want to look weird. We want to look like this is something that everybody is going to want to do. And there's never going to be a time where everybody who wants to do carnivore or keto goes, let's eat raw meat. Keto diet also tend to be expensive. It can be. It very much can be, but it can be very affordable if done correctly. Now, again, that's not in the article. That's something that I'm saying. That's an anecdotal thing that I have lived and experienced and continue to live to this day. You can get chicken thighs for $1.77 a pound at Walmart. Are they the best? Absolutely not. Are they delicious? Yes. If you cook them in lard, you get crispy, they're yummy. Ask Butter Bob, ask Rick, they're delicious. Sydney Murray, a postdoc in Kelly's lab, said, we don't yet know whether cheat day equivalents are possible on keto, but the different people require different ratios of fat to carbs to stay in ketosis. So more relaxed diet might be possible for some. And we see that in our day to day. We see people who can live a pretty successful and, maintain their lifestyle on a pretty relaxed keto lifestyle, dirty keto, if you will. That relaxed doesn't necessarily mean dirty. Maybe relaxed carnivore, ketovore, those types of things. For his part, Palmer said he was delighted to have keto so prominent in the conversation, but is frustrated that his work has become politicized. Again, that's what I try to avoid, because politicizing something means that there is a right and a wrong in what we're doing. And we're trying to make this something for all. We're not trying to say us versus them. That helps no one. If we continue in these polarized camps, that's a Republican treatment, or keto for schizophrenia is an RFK Jr. treatment. That's what I don't want. I don't want things like carnivore being associated negatively with RFK Jr. or with Mike Tyson or anybody. I want the diet and what it stands for and what it can do to be able to stand on its own merits and showcased by us, those who are in the trenches, living the lifestyle out here with anything and everything that we have, because we put so much into this that I'm afraid that all of our work is just going to evaporate if we have the wrong people speaking with us, for us, or whatever. Oh my goodness. And John says there is no evidence if you don't look at the evidence. 100%. But the evidence that we show is anecdotal stories. These things become real. When enough anecdotal evidence stacks up, people have to take notice. But again, none of us are going to sit here and say, as a matter of fact, this cures that, because then we lose channels. We lose all kinds of things. Grandma's in the house. Good morning, Grandma. How are you doing, Grandma Barbara? I hope you're well. Is that it? We're already caught up again? Come on, folks. Where are you? Let's talk, chat. Guess I'll take another sip of coffee because I'm already caught up with the chat already. Pretty crazy. Figure I'm talking about controversial stuff here. You guys would be chatty Cathy's all the way around. I mean, it's controversial in nature, but I'm hopefully that I'm able to put it out there and it not be so controversial. Oh, yeah. Grandma says, I finally get to catch a live. Because I didn't go live till noon and you were a late sleeper. You're like my great grandma. My great grandma would sleep till noon. She would stay up and watch Carson and Letterman and then go to bed and get up. And my great grandfather would go to bed at like 8 o'clock at night and be up with the sun. I spent a lot of time with them. But yeah, I just kind of think that these are very important topics to discuss for us. Again, the topic alone should not be whether or not something like ketogenic lifestyle or carnivore lifestyle can have a curing effect or not. It's a matter of how impactful can it really be. Jeff says, probably because everybody agrees with me. I hope so. I'm trying not to be divisive. My whole goal here is to never be divisive. Because, again, the way that our community is fashioned, the way that our community is built right now is already divisive enough. The fact that we're pushing meat and we're saying eat more red meat, let's eat more beef, lamb, whatever, that's already divisive. That's already controversial. We don't need to make it worse by making it partisan. Andy says, sorry, Dustin, I'm planning my trips, cruises. Well, lucky you, lady. Made a bunch of tallow balm this morning. I am bringing some jars to the meetup, honeysuckle and eucalyptus. Ooh, eucalyptus sounds good. Helps with skin irritations. Sounds awesome. I would love to try some. And Maritza says, when I first started ketogenic diet, I had remarkable changes in my bipolar disorder and seizures. Now, how has that changed over time? Have you found that the less strict you are, the more you have issues, or has there been a kind of regression with even if you stay strict with a ketogenic diet? Like, how do you find that, Maritza? And Grandma says, but I don't get to bed until 5 a.m. Oh my goodness. It's because you're addicted to crocheting. You crochet all night. Crochet all night, party all day. Squeaky Monkey Coconuts in the house. Hello, Squeaky Monkey. How are you doing? Glad to see you. So very glad to see you. Yeah. Oh, I love my coffee. It is so windy out. I can hear things moving around outside. I don't like it. Tanya's in the house. Hello, Tanya. Tanya. I never get it right. I always say it wrong. And as soon as I say it, I'm like, oh, I should have said it different. But Tanya's in the house. Hello. She should be getting ready for work. Oh, my goodness. Well, get ready for work. Do your thing. And Squeaky Monkey Coconut says it's good to see you, Dustin. Windy here, too. Yuck. Yeah, it's cold. It's 28 degrees. Let's see. Tomorrow's going to be 27 to 46, and then 30 to 47, and 37 to 57, then 28 to 57 on Saturday. And Jeff says the health position on this is skewed because of pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have, I think there's always going to be a need for some pharmaceuticals. I mean, we've always had natural remedies. We've always had apothecaries. Am I saying that right? Apothecaries, apothecaries, whatever. You know, my brain is not working today. I'm not firing on all cylinders. I've only got 3 anyway. But yeah, because I still think there's a place for pharmaceutical interventions. Now, the idea that they have a stronghold on the word cure, I think, is not always a bad thing, because we do come from a time where the 20s, the 10s, the early, like the late 1800s, the early 1900s, there were the reason why we have the term snake oil salesman. We had tinctures and elixirs that were the cure from everything. Cure your broken toes to your whatever. broken nose to your runny nose to your broken toes, whatever, all these things. We had the cure, we had all that stuff. So I think putting a lockdown on utilizing the word cure is sort of important. I don't think we should be willy-nilly being able to utilize that term. Now, do I think that that should only be able to be used in a pharmaceutical setting? No. Do I think that it should be something that has a tighter lock on the use? Yes. Do I think any company should be able to say they cure this, that, and the other? No. Just like, I mean, you shouldn't be able to put on a steak, cures diabetes. Do we know that it probably will? Sure. But it's not just the meat, it's the reduction of other things that come into play. That's why just utilizing the word cure is not the best plan. But yes, pharmaceutical companies have a huge part in this. Yeah. I feel you. I don't want to either. I don't want to. And Maritza says, when I am less strict, my symptoms return. And of course, more strict, better. Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of curious of how that goes over time and what you've learned and, what you've been able to take away from that. And Cindy is here. Hello, Cindy. How are you doing, my dear? How is our good friend Guinea Pig? How's he doing? Is he feeling better? She's watching on her TV. And Maritza says that it's very hard with my daughter and I living together, and she doesn't eat keto. Yeah, like last night, our kids were putting together like a kind of like casserole or whatever, and it was like broccoli, and it looked like it had cheese, and I don't know what else was in it, but I was like, she was like, it's gonna have this. I'm like, all that sounds like keto. She goes, oh, and rice. I was like, well, can you make it without the rice and put the rice on the side? No. And then I'm like, well, then we can't eat it. And I'm just trying to be able to plant more seeds into the house, right? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to plant the seeds. That's what I'm trying to do. But it's not always so easy to do. Pania is here. Good afternoon, Pania. How are you doing, my dear? Welcome. Glad to see you. And everyone's saying hello to everyone. Hey, Mason's in the house. Hey, Mason, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. But it is crazy to see, like, as we were looking a little earlier at the things with the with that video and how well it's doing. Even no matter how well it's doing, it's still one of those things that I'm probably still not going to make enough money this month to break $100. So there's that. So that's gonna be fun. Because my goal is $100 each month on this channel. So because I have to break $100 to get a paycheck each month. So I just got the one from last month. It was $105, and right now I'm at like $50. But like I said, I try to be transparent about as much as I can. Just keeping track of everything. I've gained like almost 200 subscribers in the last month. That's insane. It's been like 40, 30, 35, 25. It's been real slow. And then this last 28 days, 189. So I'm at 6878 subscribers. Pretty intense right now. It's pretty crazy, to be honest with you. Yeah, Mason says good to see me. I am good to look at. You know what I'm saying? Even though that kid at Costco, I'm going to think about that kid forever. Kid's like, Santa. And I'm like, no. Tanya got a crocheted chicken that came in from Debbie. Oh, I love it. Sounds amazing. Why can't I talk today? Maybe I had a stroke. I don't know. Crocheted chicken. How do you say that? Let me look this up because it's going to drive me nuts. Apothecary? It's not that. Apothecary. Apothecary. I don't know. Apothecary. Apothecary. That's where there's apothecary. There we go. I knew I was saying it wrong. There's a novel series called The Apothecary Diaries. This is when I'm like listening to like other podcasters and or people and they say things wrong and I'm in the car like you're saying it wrong and here I am like apothecary. It's apothecary. You know what I'm saying? It's me saying things, being dumb. It's okay. Anyway, that's just my life. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. Be careful what emoji you use. That can be construed in so many ways. So many ways. You can use these, you know what I'm saying? Thomas says, hello, I had to leave. Can we start over? Everybody, thank you for joining us today. This is welcome, Thomas. How are you doing, my friend? Yeah. Thomas is back again. You'll have to go and listen from the beginning, Thomas, if you have the time, because I went through an article and all that stuff. So, yeah. Amy, what you gonna do? I got to see Amy soon too. Woo! Got an Amy hug and an Andy hug and a Susan hug and a Stacy and Ken hug. Oh, I miss all my friends. More friends, their family. I miss them. I miss them so very much. So very much. Oh, it's been such a long time since I've seen so many of you that, I mean, it really does weigh heavy on me. It really does. It's like how I imagine like grandparents are when they're just talking with their kids over Zoom. Like our granddaughter, when she lived like a mile down the road and we would talk on video chat. Or she lived 15 minutes away and we would talk on video chat. The fact that she lives here now is so much better. I can just see her whenever I want. That's like that, you know, the absence makes the heart grow fonder type of thing. It's really, really true. It really, truly is a thing. Mm. Oh, it's so good. I love coffee. How about you? Oh, yeah. So what do you guys want to talk about? I'm kind of not necessarily out of everything, but, you know. Again, Monday, March 2nd, Elkhart meetup, Smoking Fatties, me, Amy, Chandra, Joe, Rachel, Andy, Susan, Stacy, Ken. If I'm missing anybody, I apologize. I try to keep track of everybody who's coming, but I'm excited. Don't forget Ketopalooza coming up in October. Tickets are available now. Coffee is mandatory. Yes, mandatory. Have any of you watched the new Knights of the Seven Kingdoms? A Knight in the Seven Kingdom. It's a Game of Thrones spinoff. It's so good. Yes. Where are you from, John? Because I'm in central Indiana. Like Elkhart to me is like 3 hours. But the Knight in the Seven Kingdoms is a completely different tone than Game of Thrones. But I think it only makes sense if you watched Game of Thrones. So Dave on the record says RFK should have known better to use the language, but at the same time, the media will do anything to belittle the administration and not focus on the potential power of the diet. Well, again, I don't think necessarily the administration is the issue. I mean, the administration is part of the issue because both sides of the coin, every administration, the media plays into or against the administration regardless. Now, it also depends on what the said administration is pushing for. And we have to remember that there's something, like who owns the media? We have pharmaceutical industry, food industry. We have all these things, right? So all these things get in the way. So I try to back away because, it doesn't matter to me what administration's in office, because no matter what, we, the people, we here in this community have a lot of work to do. Now, in this administration, we would like to think that people like RFK Jr. are going to make things easier for us, but maybe he will, maybe he won't. We have the new guidelines, but even still, there's problems with those, and those are causing people to be upset on both sides. I just think I try to make sure that we are not looking at this as a partisan issue, because it doesn't matter which administration is in office, we have work to do. It doesn't matter which administration is in office, we should be living this lifestyle and painting it in a positive light, showing it that it can be done easily, sustainably, and hopefully affordably to our friends, our neighbors, our acquaintances, our coworkers, all of these people that are in and around our lives, all the people who are watching that we may not even realize are watching, because that's the true power of what we're doing. Because it's not going to be the people we pester. It's going to be the people that change with us are going to be the ones who watch and see what we're doing and see that it is truly, sustainable, that we are happier, better, we eat better, we feel better, we're losing weight, we're coming off of medications. We're always going to have somebody pushing back. There's always going to be, doesn't matter which administration it is, there's going to be something in that administration that's going to push back or get something wrong or fumble around and say something wrong. It's going to be no matter which administration's in office. Do I worry about the next administration coming in and possibly retracting what we have as far as the small piece of ground we've made with the current guidelines by the FDA? Yes. But those are supposed to be intact until 2030. This administration can change in the next 2 years or however long it's been, the next election cycle. So, again, I try to keep the partisan out of this because, again, we're already too divisive as it is without any partisan issue. Because if we can remove the partisan issue and we can not focus on who's in office, then we're more likely to bring more open-minded people from across the aisle or across wherever, somebody who may have been vegan. We've had people who were longtime vegans come to these diets and find success. Vegetarians find success. There's a lot of work we can do, and I think clouding it up with what administration's in office is only going to be to our detriment long term. So I try to make sure that we're not focusing on that at all. And John says, I'm right on the border of Indiana and Ohio on I-70. Okay, yeah, that's not too far. It's about an hour. I think it's like an hour and a half from me, right where the border is. Because, you got to get through Indy, and then I'm on the west side of Indianapolis. So you got to cross over Indianapolis, which is about 20 to 30 minutes of it itself. So, yeah. And then Maritza says, I definitely understand that missing people. My daughter and I have a trip planned to Texas for spring break, and my daughter hasn't been there in almost 10 years. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't. Hopefully it's not for family. Because family being that far away is difficult. I have family in Texas. I have a sister. I have two sisters in Texas. I have a good friend of mine that lives in Texas. Yeah. So Jess says here, as people in the community say food is the cure, we should come up with something else. Yeah. Food is the solution. The food is, let's see, we can even go into, let's see. Let's see what we can come up with here. Let's see. It didn't give me what I wanted. Let's see what we can find here. We can look at food is foundational. Food is a starting point. Food is powerful. Food is the first step. Food drives health. Food shapes outcomes. Food matters more than we think. Food changes everything. Food sets the stage for healing. Food is a critical piece of the puzzle. Food influences the trajectory. Food is often the missing link. Food can move the needle. We know that that's 100% true. Food is where we begin. Yes, 1000%. Food supports recovery. Food creates the environment for change. Food impacts the root causes. 1000%. Food is part of the answer. Food is a 100% part of the answer. Food is a big piece of the puzzle. Sleep is a big piece of the puzzle. Recovery is a piece of the puzzle, because you can have all of the best, you can eat the best food, but if you're not sleeping enough and you're not getting recovery, you're not going to see success. If your stress is ridiculously sky high, you can eat what you want and sleep what you want, but if that stress is there, you're still going to see lack of improvement. It's a lot of moving pieces for each and every one of us, and what that looks like for each of us is going to be slightly different. It takes food, sleep, recovery, stress reduction. Those are four major pieces that we have to really look at. How do we impact each one of those things in a meaningful way that doesn't completely disrupt who we are on a day-to-day basis? How do we successfully integrate these changes into our lives to where it becomes sustainable and not even something we think about? That's where we're at. Food is foundational. Food is a starting point. Food is a part of the answer. But food is never 100% the answer. Again, because we have to make sure that food is a foundational piece. Sleep, meaningful sleep to get recovery, finding ways to reduce the stress of our daily lives. This modern life that we live is full of stresses. I'm sure that there were a lot of stress in the pre-modern age before the Industrial Revolution. Are we going to starve to death? Are we going to have enough crop to sustain us for the season? How are we going to get what we need? Are we going to be able to have enough fresh water? These were all stress points too. So these are all important, powerful things to look at, very important pieces and better ways to say that the food is the cure. Again, I don't necessarily think food in of itself is the entirety of the cure. It is a major piece of the puzzle, but I mean, our health really is a puzzle, because in each one of us, that puzzle looks different. The pieces are different. They're all shaped differently. I think that might be the key there. Proper human diet is a foundation of a major piece of that puzzle. And maybe you'll agree with me, right? Food is a part of the solution. I think our health is a puzzle. Food is a piece, sleep is a piece. How big of a piece of that puzzle remains to be seen for each and every one of us. And it is a puzzle because we have to figure it out on an individual basis. That's something that I learned in the health coaching classes, that not everybody's going to be successful in the same way. We see that in everybody's stories. Everybody's story is a little different. How they got to where they are, what led to these issues, how do they improve, what did they have to change? Some people had to go and figure out hormones. Some people had to figure out sleep. Some people had to go extremely strict when it came to carnivore or lion diet. Some people were dirty keto and the weight fell off and they were fine. There's just so many pieces to this puzzle that I just have to say, I think maybe that might be the way to look at it, is just, health is a puzzle. How do all the pieces to make yourself healthy fit together? Yes. I did not take my final exam last night. I'm planning to do it today. I know that I got an email that it was going to be down, so I didn't bother taking it last night. It was down at 10 o'clock my time. So I was a little worried about it, so I didn't take it last night. So, yeah, I am going to be taking it very shortly, but that's all I got to do. Then I've graduated. Woo! It's crazy to think about. And I'm excited that Cindy's going to have a meetup, but unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to Cindy's, because this coming Saturday, there's something in Cincinnati with Chris and Ash. Ash and Chris are playing. And then that Monday, we're going to be at Elkhart, and then Cindy's meetup. And then I don't know. I don't have enough money. I mean, that's and I'm not trying to beg money or anything like that, right? That's just the bane of my entire existence right now, is I don't have enough spending money to keep the YouTube channel afloat and have things and be able to make it to places, because, our income is stretched thin with everybody living here, all the things that we have to take care of. So me being able to go to meetups and just get in the car and go and pay for gas and anything, the incidentals, there's meetups all over the place. There's a meetup in Michigan that I'd love to go to. That's like $60. I don't have that. There's a thing that I want to go down to. I'm going to go down to Dr. Barry's going to be doing a viewing of the cholesterol code down in Tennessee. I want to go to that too. I don't think I have the money to get down there and back and go to the movie. Again, not asking for anything, but I'm just saying this is just the, I want to go to all of these things. I just don't have it. And, I'll figure a way eventually, but, whoo. And I was even talking with Amy, is like the idea of starting a coaching business takes more than just the coaching classes. Then you got to come out of it. Then you got to come out of pocket for the business license or whatever, the LLC and all the things. So, yeah. But anyway, I think with that, I will see those of you in Elkhart on Monday the 2nd. I'll be here on Sunday the 1st. I think it's been a great day today. We've covered a lot of ground. We had a great conversation. I'm excited for the direction of this channel. I can't believe I've had so many thousands of views in the last couple of hours. But anyway, thank you all so very much for being here. I appreciate you all so very much. I love each and every one of you. For those of you watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all so very much. And with that, here come the credits, and I still haven't had time to update yet. But anyway, I love you.